It's deal day. Mazraoui's coming in. Ligt's coming in. Birthday boy. Wan-Bissaka is leaving. Also, as well, Bruno Fernandes has signed a new deal, or is about to sign a new deal. He's been offered a new deal. He's getting a new deal. Whatever way you look at it, it's positive news. So let's get into it. Jay here from Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford and the weather, it's been spitting, get them in. There's also wasps about. Anyway, loads of stories to get through, so we will crack on. Make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. It's deal day at Manchester United. It is all happening today. Loads of people tweeting about Florian Plettenberg, other people as well. Fabrizio Romano's just done a tweet. By the time you're watching this, some of these deals may already be completely over the line. We're talking about Noussair Mazraoui. He's meant to be having his medical today. Any minute now, hopefully that can get done and he can sign on the dotted line and become a Manchester United player. We've also got as well Matthijs Ligt, birthday boy. Matthijs Ligt, he turns 25 today and hopefully he's turning into a Manchester United player today as well. See what I did there? So he's due to have his medical and sign on the dotted line as well. Plus, Wan-Bissaka, I think Ornstein was tweeting about this last night. Today's the day. He should become a West Ham player. He's booked in, I think, for his medical, and he's going to get all that sorted as well. So expecting 3 deals involving Manchester United to get done today. Mazraoui and Ligt, hopefully they can get the medicals done and they become Manchester United players. And Wan-Bissaka goes the other way. I think the whole sort of scope of these deals, or how it all works out, is Wan-Bissaka's going for around 15 million quid. Mazraoui's coming in for a little bit less than that, I think, to Manchester United. And Matthijs Ligt is around £40 million mark-ish. It depends on what you're looking at with add-ons there. So there's a bit of sort of leeway there, depending on how you're looking at the deal, how you're structuring it. The press will no doubt add on the add-ons and his wages and his signing bonus and everything they can to make it seem as though United have spent as much money as possible on Matthijs Ligt and as well on Mazraoui. But the numbers that are being mentioned are the ones I've just spoke about there. Let me know. Get involved in the chat in the comments what you think about these deals. They were they were announced, or the news broke just before the Community Shield. It's a big plus for Manchester United because I was looking at it a little bit worried. We brought in Lenny Yoro, who's injured. We've also brought in Joshua Zirkzee, who's probably a squad player. So you're thinking United looking a little bit threadbare when it comes to the summer transfer window. However, a player the calibre of Matthijs Ligt coming in and Mazraoui coming in, who's obviously a long-term target for the manager because you can tell he just doesn't quite fancy Wan-Bissaka, does he? For whatever reason. Maybe Wan-Bissaka didn't fancy it as well. We know he had a year left on his deal. So 15 million quid for him is probably about right. I love Wan-Bissaka. I've made it clear on the podcast, on this channel many times. His performance in the Carabao Cup, his performances against City over the years, his performance against City in that FA Cup final. I love the kid, but if the manager doesn't fancy him, it's better to move him on and get some money for him. So I wish him well at West Ham, and he'll get a good reception from me when he returns here as a West Ham player. Just on other transfer news as well, because believe it or not, despite the fact there's 3 transfers happening today, there's other transfer news as well involving Manchester United. And this is Evan Ferguson. This one came a little bit from left field, but I saw this, I think, in the Mirror, saying that United are looking at Evan Ferguson as a possible target in a £50 million deal. Now, the report, the article was saying that because Joshua Zirkzee isn't quite ready yet, and also you might look at it and go, is he even going to be a first team player? Is he going to be rotated? Is he going to be a squad player? Where's he going to play? All that sort of jazz. Plus the fact you've got an injury to Rasmus Højlund. Plus the fact there may even be a couple of question marks about how much you can rely on Rasmus Højlund. Does he need another option? Do you need more than just Rasmus Højlund as your main striker? The club are looking at Evan Ferguson. Now, Evan Ferguson was a target at Manchester United a little while ago. He was heavily linked with United about a year ago when he burst onto the scene at Brighton and was smashing in goals, doing really well. Beginning of last season, he was doing really well as well. He scored something like 6 goals in his first 11 games or something, including a hat-trick against Newcastle. However, he then didn't score again. I think he went about 16 games in the Premier League without a goal. Plus he had an ankle injury towards the end of the season as well. So it all sort of went a little bit south for him. Now, does that mean he's not a good player? No. Does that mean he's not worth 50 million quid? He probably still is a 19-year-old who's got some pedigree in the Premier League, has scored goals in the Premier League. However, I would be a little bit wary because we have seen it with players in the past where they've sort of burst onto the scene, they've scored a few goals, or, in Evan Ferguson's case, more than a few, scored a decent amount of goals, and then the levels have just dropped off a little bit. They've struggled for form, they've struggled with whatever. It can happen to players. We've seen it a few times with players where initially you look at him and you go, this kid's got a bright future, he's going to be one of the top strikers in the Premier League, and then it doesn't quite happen for him for whatever reason. Now, the sort of counter-argument to that is it worth a 50 million quid punt on a teenager who has scored Premier League goals and has looked like a force to be reckoned with in the Premier League? Is it worth that gamble? if you look at it as a gamble. And also, with Rasmus Højlund, if you are going to say he's your main striker, and you do need a backup, then does that backup need to be someone who's a bit younger than Rasmus Højlund then? Someone who's happy to sit on the bench? Someone who's happy to be rotated? Does that make sense to you? Let me know in the comments in the chat. With Evan Ferguson, I feel like it's one of those deals, and I say this quite a lot, because there's a lot of deals that fall into this category where if it was to happen, no one complains. No one complains at United goes, why are we buying a 19-year-old? Why are we buying a striker? Why are we buying a player that, you know, is one of the most sought-after strikers not that long ago in the Premier League? What's going on? But if it doesn't, you look at it and you go, okay, he has gone quite a while without a goal. There's still a few question marks. Is he really at the top level? What's going to happen there? I think it's one of those deals where if it happened, you'd be buzzing. If it doesn't, you won't be that gutted. However, I do think it's unlikely because of the fee. Manchester United don't have 50 million quid to spend. The only way that deal could happen is, and there are reports that United are still trying to shift on a few of these players. Scott McTominay say went to Fulham for 25 million. Maybe you got some money in for Casemiro from Saudi Arabia. He's linked with a move for Saudi Arabia. Maybe that could happen. Victor Lindelof is another one that is being touted with a possible move. Maybe if all those three players moved on, and potentially Jadon Sancho to PSG, who was, again, there are reports that that's semi in the pipeline. Maybe if all those deals happen, United have enough money to bring in a midfielder, someone like a Nagate, and have a little bit of money left over, or enough money left over to get a deal done for Evan Ferguson. Let me know what you think. I'll be honest with you. I've heard a couple of sort of rumours, if you will, from people, and I don't like to be ITK. I'm not ITK at all, but people saying that just keep your eye on the Ivan Toney reports. Just keep your eye on them. A couple of people messaged me about that, and everyone who watches this channel knows I am the opposite of ITK. Yeah, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I am not ITK at all. But I've had a few people message me saying, just keep around at Ivan Toney, because there could be something in there where United do go back in for him. If Brentford don't get a suitor for him, they don't get a sale, and if they're willing to offload him, because I don't know how long he's got left on his contract, I don't think he's got very long, United might go back in for Ivan Toney. So it's worth just keeping a little bit of an eye on. I'm not ITK, although I did see Sir Jim Ratcliffe about 2 years ago at Morrison's, at the Cash Machine in Eccles. People doubted me, and now he's a part owner of Manchester United, so he's laughing now. Just on the striker front as well, it's interesting what United are going to do, because Rasmus Højlund had a very positive first season, I thought. Had a good first season. He's still, what is he, 21 years old? Did have a little bit of a barren spell. There were some reports that the club still had a little bit of a doubt as to whether he could be that guy on his own to lead the line, or do you need to bring in another striker? Now, you might look at Xerxes, and he's an option again, though. He's a bit more of a squad player. So the club could still look at another player, another striker to go and rotate with Rasmus Højlund, or maybe compete for the first team with Rasmus Højlund. Evan Ferguson feels like a bit more like a backup. If the club did go out and buy Ivan Toney, that would be someone who you think would be vying for that first choice place as your main striker. Just one to keep an eye out, but I think there's still a little bit of intrigue there for me. I rate Rasmus Højlund. I think he's a good player. I think we're in a position now, though, with him injured, it's probably going to be Marcus Rashford who leads the line against Fulham. I think that might happen, or maybe Bruno Fernandes as a false nine. I don't know if Joshua Xerxes is going to start. Didn't feature in the Community Shield. There were reports, a couple of people, I tweeted this as well, it's a guy who tends to know what he's on about, saying that Xerxes was going to have an appearance in a behind closed doors game, so we'll have to see what happens on that front. And just the best bit of news I think we've had this summer window is that Bruno Fernandes has got a new deal at Manchester United. I think it was Fabrizio Romano who broke the story yesterday. The club signed him down for a few more years. He's going to be amongst the top earners at Manchester United, because bizarrely, despite being probably our best player, despite being our most productive player, despite being our most influential player, despite being our captain, Bruno Fernandes wasn't one of the top earners. Well, now he's going to be at the club as one of the top earners, and he's going to be here for a few more years to come, which I think is a good move. I know he's 29 years old, but I think Bruno Fernandes has got a few more years left in the tank, and I'm glad we've tied him down, because he's one of the best players I've seen a long time at Manchester United. He's also the best signing we've had post Sir Alex Ferguson. Don't at me, because he just is. Anyway, make sure you are getting involved in the chat and the comments on that one, and let us know what you think about that deal. It is deal day today. Loads of deals happening. They might have already happened by the time you watch this. Make sure in the meantime you are hitting like, share and subscribe. Going to be back later on with the Paddock podcast. I'll be Jay Motty, getting terrorised by wasps. Thanks for watching. Is it still there? Mate, it won't leave me alone. Is it gone? Oh my God. Are you following me with that camera when I'm getting attacked? Is that wasp gone? Oh my God, what is going on?
That's fucking perfume.
It is, isn't it?
Shame it's your perfume, not a ball.